tutorial with myself, the Irish Photoshopper. Today we're going to go through my composite, nowhere to go, but we're going to do it in 5 simple steps, so it's perfect for beginner and advanced. Please be sure to support this channel by subscribing and liking the videos. I appreciate all your support. Now let's get to it. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to do this in 5 steps, okay? And within those 5 steps, there is quite a little few adjustments that you need to make within those 5 steps, okay? But for now, let's open up our initial image in Photoshop, which is this surfer here. Great image, and as I said, you can find the stock images in the description below on this video, and just download them and follow along. Okay, so all you do is you open up your first image. On the right hand side, we're just going to duplicate the layer, so press Command or Control J. Let's call this, we double click in it, let's call it Water 2. Okay, now what we're going to do straight away is we're actually going to bring in our shark. Okay, so this is all within the 4th step. Okay, it's just to duplicate the layer and let's bring in our shark. Okay, now as you can see, you cannot see the shark because it's hidden underneath the top layer. So let's just bring it up to the top for a moment. Let's bring down the opacity. Okay, and let's press Control T to transform the size of the shark, because we want to make it nice and big, because there's a fantasy edit. Okay, that's quite big, but let's see how it goes. Then all we want to do is just put it back down between the 2 layers on the right hand side, so in between the 2 of them. Okay, now all we want to do is bring our opacity of the shark back up. On the top layer, let's put a mask on it. Okay, and all we do is on the left hand side, we select our brush. Make sure the brush is a nice soft round brush. Okay, so you can come into your brushes, go to soft round brush. Okay, then because we're painting on a white mask on the right hand side, we're going to use black. Okay, so let's use black here, and all I'm going to do is reduce the opacity down to around 10%, and then slowly, surely just keep clicking until you see it gently coming through. Okay, like so. Now, if you are conscious that the edges around the shark might be a little bit harsh, just stay as you are, but just change the color back to white. Use your bracket keys on your keyboard just to adjust the size of the brush, and let's just slightly bring up our opacity up to 100, and let's just nice and gently around the edges, let's just blend the edges in a little bit more so you don't have any harsh edges. Okay, like so. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to create a group for each step. Okay, just to show you exactly what way we do it. So all you do is click on the top layer, click on the bottom layer, hold shift and press Control G to create a layer for that group. So we'll call this step 1. Okay, now we're going to go on to step 2. So step 2, let's just create a new layer. Double click and let's rename this to Water Pop 1. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our brush, we're going to come down to select the color, and what we might do is we're just going to use these values. Okay, see down on the bottom here, you can actually type these values in and it'll bring you to the color blue that I'm using. Now again, you're free to play around with any colors that you want. You can get it to look whatever way you want it to look in regards to color, but for now this is just the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so all you do is type in your values there, click OK, make sure you're on your water pop layer, click your brush, make sure your opacity is 100, your flow is 100, use your bracket keys just to make it a little bit bigger, and all we're going to do is just give it 1 or 2 clicks. Okay, so just 1. See how 1 is looking so far. Change your blend mode on the right hand side to overlay. Actually 1 may actually do it, so let's just change it to overlay, and let's just zoom in. Okay, the reason why I want to show you this is, as you'll notice, the surfer has gone quite blue as well, so we want to keep the original color of the the surfer in it. So all you do is on that same layer that you're on, just create a mask, use your brush on the left hand side. Let's use a nice, let me just make this a little bit smaller with my bracket keys. Let's bring the flow down to around, say around 28. And all we do is gently just start brushing the surfer back in. Now, for those of you that are serious about editing or want to get into editing, or might be your first time, a mouse will do you okay, but however, I use the Wacom Intuos tablet, and it has completely changed up how I edit, you know, in regards to I'm able to get selections, blends, everything just that a little bit more crisp. It's helped me out so much, so I would say maybe invest in a decent graphics tablet. Okay, it doesn't have to be a mad expensive one, just a decent one. Okay, look up some reviews online, just loads. So now that he's back into color, all I'm doing is press Ctrl 0 on your keyboard just to zoom out, and as you can see, the little color pop is there, and the original color of the surfer is there too. So what we're going to do now is on the right hand side, we're going to create our second layer for our second color pop. So water pop 2, and in here all you're going to do is same principle, use your brush, make your brush a little bit bigger. Okay. And what we will do from here is make sure again that you have the correct values. Okay, so there's your values there, and all you're going to do is give it maybe 1 or 2. Actually, maybe just Ctrl Z twice there. Let's bring our flow up. Let's leave both on 100. Just click once, and now all we do is bring our opacity down to around, let's say 15%. Okay. Now again, as you will notice, when I zoom in, again we need to do the same thing with the surfer to get his original color back. So again, create a mask with your nice soft brush. Let's bring the brush down another little bit. Let's decrease our flow right down just in the 20s, and again nice and softly let's just brush them back in. Now you might actually hear me brushing them back in with the tablet. It's literally like coloring. Okay, brilliant. So let's press Ctrl 0 to zoom back out. Okay, and on the right hand side, let's select the 2 layers again. You can press Control to click on the second layer, press Ctrl G, and let's call it, that was step 2. Okay, now we're going to move on to the third step. Nice and simple so far. Again, please like and subscribe to help grow this channel for more tutorials coming very soon. I appreciate all of your support. So what you do is on the right hand side, let's add a new adjustment layer, so a brand new layer. Let's call this layer color. Okay, press enter. Now all you're going to do with this layer is come down to your adjustments, go to color balance. Actually, my apologies, take a step back there. You can actually delete this layer for now. On your color balance, let me just delete this and show you again. So all you do is come down to your adjustment layers, go to color balance, and in here these are the values that I'm going to use. Okay, so you can mess about with these as much as you want and change it to whatever color you want to change it to, you know, just mess about and get it to look the way that you want it to look. But for now, just going to use the previous settings that I used. Okay, so we're going to go -8 on the red, then on the green what we're going to do is go to -6, and then on the blue we're going to go to +21. Just click enter. Okay, as you see, it's starting to get a bit of a neon-y bluey look to it there. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to come down if you look down here to your adjustments, go to solid color, bring it down to black, and then all we're going to do is just bring down the opacity, okay, to around, say, oh, maybe actually that's a little bit too much. Let's try 75. Yeah, 75 will do. Just press enter. Now on the color fill there, click on the mask, click on your brush, leave it at 10% at 100 flow, and just slowly just paint back in some of the underneath. Okay, now you'll notice in a moment that maybe the blue is a little bit harsh, so we might just need to just take down the color pop on that. Okay, we made it. We'll see how it's starting to look there. So let's just have a quick look here at the color pop. Let's see which one is a little bit too strong. It's number 1. So on color pop 1, just come down to it and just bring the opacity down just a little bit, like that. Okay, now it's really starting to take shape. So all we're going to do now is we're going to rename this to step 3. So on this layer, press Control, click, Control and left click, should I say, then press Control G. Let's call this excuse me, let's call this step 3. Press enter. Now let's move on to step 4. So step 4 is fairly simple. Okay, so all we're going to do is just open up all your steps there for a moment. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create one single layer with all of these adjustments in it. Okay, so all you're going to do is press Shift, Control, Alt and E, and it creates a stamp layer. So one single layer with all the adjustments below included into it. Okay, then from there all we're going to do is press Command J, and we're going to rename this to paint. Okay, so when we rename that to paint, we're going to come up to our filter, we're going to press style, we're going to go to stylize, and we're going to go to oil paint. Now use these values that I have here. If you want, you can mess about with them again, but these are just the values that I've used. Okay, so 8 on stylize, 8.1 in cleansiness, 0.1 on scale, bristle is 0, click the line 1, minus 60 on the angle, and just a little bit of shine. Click OK. Now, as you can see there, it looks completely messed up, but all we're going to do is we're going to come over to the right hand side here on that layer, and we're going to bring the opacity down to let's say 20%. Okay, so it's less, it's, as you can see here, it's less off. Okay, so we zoom in, you can kind of see the painting effect. Oh, excuse me, let me just make sure that I have, you can kind of see the painting effect there. What I want to do is I want to bring in the original surfer back into it, and maybe just a little bit of the shark back in. So all I do is on this layer, create a mask, soft black brush, 10%. Actually, do you know what we'll do? We'll bring the opacity up, and we'll bring the flow down to around, say, 30%. Let's come down to our surfer, and let's just gently just bring it back in. Okay, let's just bring some of the shark in as well. Get rid of some of those lines just in and around there. Let's see some of them, just to make it a little bit less harsh. Okay. I'm liking how that's looking so far. So just press Ctrl 0 to zoom back out completely. And now what we're going to do is just rename this, okay, to step 4. So on the top layer, click on the layer beneath, press Ctrl G. Let's call it step 4. Okay, now we're going to move on to our final steps and final adjustments. Okay, so what we're going to do is come down to your adjustments. Apologies for the clicking of the mouse. Go to curves, and we're just going to create a slight S shape here. Okay, so let's just create a slight little S shape here. As you can see it there, starting to pop already. I'm going to have to use the mouse for this because my hands are quite shaky, so the pen tool is just acting up when I do that. Bring it down a little bit, and then down a little bit more. Okay, so as you can see there, it's starting to, well, not starting to, it's nearly at the finished product. Okay, So then what we want to do is, the very last adjustment on this is press Shift, Control, Alt and E again. Let's sharpen it, but we're at high pass, so let's go up to filter. Let's go to other, go to high pass. Now, and when it comes to high pass filters, you just want to use just enough for what you want sharpened. Okay, so if you mess about with the amount on this, you'll see how much what areas of the photograph is really going to sharpen. But I just mainly want the surfer and a bit of the shark sharpened. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just bring it down a little bit. Let me see. Sharp's tooth, the shark's tooth is sharp, surfer sharp. Click OK. Then all you do is come over to your blend modes, change it to overlay. What we want to do is just for the sake of the video, on the right hand side, click on the top layer, click on the layer underneath with Control, hold Control and press click, press Control G, double click, press and name it to step 5. Okay, so as you can see, 5 simple steps with just some micro adjustments, and you have your full image.